Hi Libra, it's Denise with Divine Soul Astrology. Today I'm here to discuss the Sagittarius Full Moon. It's happening on May 31st at 1:45 a.m. Just next week. And also, that will be Sunday, I believe. But please check for your own time because it will be different for everybody, right? And so this is going to be for Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And this is going to be a very cool full moon. It's called the Blue Moon because we have two full moons in the month of May. And so that usually doesn't happen, right? May is a long month. So here we have the full moon showing up in your third house of thinking. So something's going on here. The way you are thinking about something, it can have to do with your philosophy on something. You could have changed kind of your belief or, your perspective on something. You definitely could. The full moon can bring endings, right? It can bring endings and new beginnings. And like with every full moon, we have the full moon being opposed, the full moon opposing the sun in the opposite sign. This is the intellectual axis. It sure is. Yeah. And so also, but in your sign, in terms of the houses, it is the same. Wow. It is, um, yeah, because Gemini, it's just switched. Gemini is, yeah, in the ninth. It is the same. It is because here's Sagittarius in your third house, which really rules Gemini in the natural chart. And I'm not really going to explain too much, but it's kind of switched. Sagittarius usually rules the ninth house here, but they're switched. But the point about it is that it is in the intellectual axis, right? Gemini rules the mind, the rational mind, the one we use to go drive to the store, write a check, or do something on your computer. And then Sagittarius rules the higher mind, which is about God and higher purpose and philosophy and growth and expansion, that type of thing, right? And so that's what we have going on. They need each other. They do. Just like, Venus needs Mars, kind of. They really need each other. All the opposite signs are needing each other. Your opposite sign is Aries. All right. So, but let's talk about what's going on here. And the full moon can illuminate something here for you, right? It definitely can. Now, the moon is in your third house of thinking. It is also decisions, plans, and goals and skills. Don't want to leave that out, right? Willpower, anything you can kind of thinking or reading or, communication as well. And this is also siblings, kind of extended family and whatever is local to you, or local can be neighbors, but it can also be whatever is familiar to you, things you've done many times, sometimes the familiar. The neighbors are also with the familiar, aren't they? Yeah, they are. But, and short distance trips, all right? So it is there. And in your house of thinking is Black Moon Lilith, Libra. So it's been sitting in Sagittarius for quite a while now. But Black Moon Lilith is there. And don't pay attention to the DC, the MC. These are kind of labeling the angular houses, but they're in the wrong place. And it's not going to make a difference in this reading because when I move you to the ascendant, so you can see your chart better, it moves those around, but it doesn't change the degrees of anything here, like the moon, and see the moon still at 9 degrees. All right, so we have Jupiter, Black Moon Lilith is conjoined with the moon. And so with the wise moon, the moon wants to bring us wisdom, or it wants us to grow and expand. Yeah, it does. It wants us to kind of learn something as well, because remember I said it's on the axis, the full moon with Gemini. Gemini is learning. And so, but there's a shadow aspect in your third house of the way you think, or maybe it is, it may the way you communicate or your plans and goals or something. It might have to do with your skills, the third house. And Lilith there can be, it's a shadow. We have to face it. It can be associated with the ego, but we have to face our shadow so we can move into the light and be more aware, right? And live with awareness. We always want spiritual awareness. We can't just live with the physical with the earth element because we can't. That's why the universe is made up of four elements. We need each of those. We sure do in our lives. So here we have this Black Moon Lilith with the full moon. Now, the full moon is also, or Jupiter is the ruler of the full moon is ruling your your third and your sixth house of daily work, or work and health and wellness, and also your daily routines, your habits, that create your lifestyle, things like that. This is also ruling your house of obstacles. And that's what the sixth house is. Not only obligations, but sometimes obstacles. It's the house of your health and your work that can pose obstacles, right? We need those. We do. We need those. So we need our health for sure. Otherwise, we can't work, right? But that's the sixth house of obstacles. It is ruling. Now, Jupiter is also in your 10th house of career. So there's something that can be going on with your work or your career that is very important here. Yeah, and so there's something about growth and expansion or some type of wisdom you're seeing. It can be related to your skills, but it is definitely to help you grow here. Jupiter is in Cancer, nurturing Cancer. It's very strong and happy there, as is Venus, and Venus is your ruling planet. All right. Now, Venus is here in your house of social roles and career. This can be marriage and divorce, your social role. It depends. It can be your reputation. You're a professor, and that's how people see you or how you show yourself to the world. For example, Venus rules your first house, and it also rules your eighth house of transformation. Something's changing for you, Libra, and it can be your work or the way you show yourself to the world. You could be showing yourself with more authority. Maybe you are showing somebody here. Maybe it's just somebody in your life. Venus is making the square to your seventh house of partnerships and your seventh house of one-on-ones. It can one-on-one. It can be clients, but it can be, marriage, right? Originally, the seventh house was marriage, back in the day when women didn't really have clients. We could say that, right? But, right, it's funny to say that. But, it's making that square there. And Venus is making a trine to the north node of higher purpose in your sixth house of obstacles and, work and health. So, this house is, but getting back, I'm getting off track here, but this square going to, it's at 14 degrees. It is squaring Saturn in Aries. It's squaring Athena Pallas. It is squaring Vesta. And Vesta is related to your sign. It's about wellness, or not wellness, but harmony and balance. So it's asking you to make an adjustment here of either how you show yourself to the world, your, like, your authority that you have over your own life, or possibly your career. There's an adjustment that is wanting to be made here. It can have to do with home and family, right? It's in the sign of Cancer. This can be how you nurture yourself as well. I mean, it's really important. Sometimes, one time somebody asked me that, what do you mean, nurturing yourself? It's super highly important. That's how we thrive, when we nurture ourselves, right? Now, we have this square here, and Venus, and this, sometimes Vesta is about harmony and balance, but also what was I going to say, um, the quiet devotion that we give to ourselves. So we have Venus here making the square to Aries, and Mars rules Aries. Mars is in Venus ruled Taurus right here. So there's something going on here with either your relationships or your self-care, right? Because Taurus rules self-care and well-being, all right? So the moon, the full moon, is helping you seeing something about your own well-being that may have to do with your career or your social role. Maybe, can be marriage or, divorce, things like that. Doesn't always have to be. The social role is not just marriage and divorce, right? Can be career, right? But Saturn is there, and Saturn is giving you the resilience you need, right? It's in this personal sign, Aries, which is your opposite sign, Libra. It is, and we can see it right here. And so this is giving you the resilience here, but it's telling you really to kind of act with resilience, because Venus, not Venus, but Mars, or Aries rather, is the sign of the will to act. So act with resilience and see the emotional patterns that are surrounding your relationships, or how you create harmony in your own relationships, right? Because that's what Venus, a Pallas wants, Athena Pallas, really. I think it's Athena, Pallas Athena. God, sorry, you guys. I think it's really Athena Palace, but the point about it is about seeing your emotional patterns so you can be more aware of yourself and make better decisions or have strategy and receive the wisdom. And the wisdom has to do with the Sagittarius full moon. It sure does. All right. Yeah. Mars is also ruling your second house of well-being. So there's a theme here for you, right? Part of fortune is in your 12th house of endings. And, part of fortune is how you thrive. There's something you're supposed to let go of, because here it is in Mercury ruled, which is ruling the sun, right? Mercury ruled Gemini, not Gemini, but Virgo. And that's where this is. The part of fortune is where we thrive, but it is showing you what needs to go to thrive as well, or what we need to keep, or in your 12th house of endings, it is likely something that you need to sacrifice or let go of. All right. So I'm going to end this reading. Thank you so much for joining me. If you liked my content here today, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell. You'll be notified of my next upload. You can get a reading with me. I approach the chart in a very empowering and cathartic approach. Yes, I have a great mentor. I do. And also, the reading, the Uranus squaring the nodes, that is below. So click on that and you'll see what's going on with Uranus and the change. Uranus has just recently moved into Gemini, so it's very important. It's going to be there for 7 years. It moved into Gemini, which rules our thinking. All right. Thank you so much, Libra, for joining me here today.